What makes me feel the most vulnerable right now in this moment in my life is being seen, and how that shows up for me is I'm really in this period of my life where I'm stepping into my power, and I think it takes a lot of vulnerability and courage to truly be seen and heard exactly the way you are and exactly the way you're not.
Hi, everyone. Another intro from Melinda where I'm still trying to figure out what to do in my intros and outros. Maybe it's going to be like 10 years later and I'm still going to be recording this being like, hi, I don't know what I'm doing. But I like, yeah, whatever. But I like to do a little bit of a check in and be a little vulnerable myself before I ask my guests to be. And something that I have been thinking a lot about lately, and I was actually just talking to Aaliyah and Brandon, who are here helping me with the podcast today, about is this idea of like wanting this slow and private life, but also wanting to put myself out there for the purpose of this podcast and the purpose of being a beauty director. I've always been such an open book and like a TMI, like just projectile vomit everything to everyone. I mean, maybe a little trauma dumpy at times, but not so much anymore. But it's just an open book. And it's always been so natural for me to be on camera. I never saw myself here, but stepping in front of the camera, it was like, I don't like stepping into shoes I've been wearing for my entire life. Like it just felt comfortable and meant to be and so right. And it's just interesting because in the last year and a half or so, I've also been feeling a lot like I want more slowness and more time to myself. And sometimes this kind of role and this kind of career doesn't really blend well with that. So I'm really curious and interested to see where it all goes and how I can craft it into what makes sense for me. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't want, as much as I want this podcast to become everything, I also like never have felt like I wanted to like necessarily be famous or anything like that. And when I think about like my big dreams as it pertains to my career, that's something that could happen with all of this. I don't know. I think when you're sitting back and you're thinking about your future and you're trying to create goals, it can be really confusing. And I've just been trying to be a lot more present and like rolling with it and letting go of control and trusting. I feel like I have spun my wheels so many times in my career and dug myself into a hole of burnout to try and prove something. And I've started to realize that I think whether I do that or not, what's going to happen is going to happen because my intention is there. And I don't need to do that. I can enjoy the process so much more. So I guess that's what I'm saying. But yeah, just been in my head a lot about the future. And I think in the last few episodes too, I've mentioned there's just kind of a lot of uncertainty around what's next in my career, what's next in my personal relationships. And I'm like, I feel like I'm standing on the ledge of a cliff about to jump off, and I have no idea what's going to catch me. That's what it feels like. But here I am, and I'm doing the damn thing, and that feels really good. So, yeah, I just thought I'd share a little bit of where my head's at. It's always in weird places, and so I hope that that makes sense to everyone. But I am beyond honored to have our guest today, Judith Martinez, who is not only the director of social impact and inclusion for the Rare Impact Fund at Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez, but she is also the host of her own podcast, and she is the founder of an organization called InHerShoes movement, where she helps specifically women of color in their growth in all capacities. And so I'm excited to hear more from her about her projects and what she's been working on, and of course, what's going on at Rare Beauty. From the inception of Rare Beauty, because they were exclusive to Sephora, I have been part of those conversations because I used to be on our video team at Sephora. And when we were launching Rare Beauty, video was a huge aspect of how we were going to launch. We were going to capture their page images, the product page images. We were going to have them come in and create content for Sephora's platform. And I've just been so lucky to be able to be in the room with a group of people who are doing work that I admire so much for so long and to be a part of it. Rare Beauty's first ever mental health summit was, I don't know, it was at least 3 or 4 years ago, but they invited me to come on to be a panelist for the first ever summit. And I spoke alongside Cynthia DeMaio, their director of artistry. And I've been to more of their summits, and so much of the work that they do is just so aligned with the type of work that I'm trying to do. So it just feels like kismet that someone like Judith, who I admire so much, comes onto the Beauty Manifest, because ultimately I think we all have a really similar goal. And you're going to love her because she's just the most charismatic and bubbly person. And I'm just excited to get to know her more because we've been friends from a distance and professional colleagues from a distance, but I want to dig in, and that's what we do here. So hope you enjoy, and I'll see you at the end.
Both of you guys look at me and smile. Oh my gosh, you guys are so beautiful. Your guys' skins are glowing.
Truly.
Wow.
Rare Beauty on.
Oh,
Yeah, as Aaliyah was saying, our highlighter's poppin' because I'm assuming you're wearing Rare Beauty.
I am. I am wearing
It's the best highlighter. It's the best highlighter. The blush is insane. The blush I gave to Natasha Moore, my prior co-host, and she has hit pan already, and she's like, "This is the best blush I've ever used." So I was like, "Yeah, no doubt." Judith, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored. Truly.
I have admired you for so long. And in the intro that I was filming before you got here, I was just talking about how Rare Beauty has really been a part of my career journey at Sephora, down to even like sitting in Sephora studios with the OG Rare team before we launched, before the pandemic hit, and like so much changed. It's just been a constant. And then having the honor of speaking on the Rare Beauty Mental Health Summit the first year, and just all of the work that you do with the Rare Impact Fund is so aligned with what I'm trying to shift in the beauty space. I mean, I couldn't put a brand on more of a pedestal. Like, you guys have just done it so well and so right. And you are such a huge part of that on the Rare Impact Fund. So it's an honor to have you here. Thank you for being here. And I'm so excited also to talk about InHerShoes movement, which you are a founder of, and your podcast and all of the things that you do. So maybe in your own words, before we really jump in, you can tell everyone who you are and what it is that you love.
Oh my goodness.
Gato's joining us.
I love it. Hello.
I should have asked you. Are you allergic or anything?
I'm not.
I have air filters going.
If I am, we'll find out
It's a good
live.
time.
Yeah. If we find out, we'll find out live. But no,
Oh my gosh, stop.
I believe in the magic. I'm friends with El Gato.
He is magic. If he bothers you at all, tell me.
No, we're fine. We're all family here. Well, first off, I have to say thank you so much for the kind words, and the feeling is so mutual.
It's truth. It's truth.
So mutual, and I feel incredibly humbled and honored to sit on this couch with you and just like share space, because I've always admired your spirit, your soul, but also just what you stand for.
Thank you.
And whether it's in the studio or outside of it, I just know that you're just the type of person who just champions people. And I think that, no pun intended, that's so rare. It's also so needed more than ever. So I just want to say that first off.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And for all of our friends who are tuning in, I'm Judith Martinez. I'm she, her pronouns. I'm a proud first-generation Filipino American. And honestly, I've worn a lot of hats throughout the course of my life and career, but I've kind of always gravitated towards ex-would-be corporate lawyer, gone nonprofit renegade.
Okay.
Because
what a description.
Yeah,
I
because
love.
I don't know, I think I think if we were having this conversation 5 years ago, I would have kind of riffed off a resume
Sure.
or a list of titles, right? And I think where I am now in my personal journey, and I think how it bleeds into my career journey, is it's not so much what is your title or what is your role, it's what do you stand for and what are you championing. And
I love that.
yeah, and so I think if we distill it into, okay, great, but like, what do you champion in the world and what does that look like? I'm also a founder of a nonprofit organization that's based in Los Angeles called InHerShoes. And I started that, from a college dorm room many moons ago. And our mission really begins and ends with one question, and it's, what would you do if you were just 1% more courageous in your life? And so InHerShoes is really around catalyzing courage for young women and women of color to really step into their greatness, but also define, what does greatness mean and look like for you?
It's so personal.
It is. It's very
But
intimate.
I love that 1% more courageous.
1% more courageous.
We get so stuck in kind of the limbo of should we or shouldn't we, and making it, can I or can't I? And we only have this one life.
Yeah, totally.
Like, step into it. So I love how you describe that. That's beautiful.
Thank you. It's very, I don't know. I mean, you're a creator, you're a founder yourself in so many different ways, and I think anyone.
Yeah, that's new to me. It's very weird.
I mean, I think
like,
it
I'm
suits
an
you well.
entrepreneur.
Yeah, you are. That's right.
Thank you.
I think we're living in a time where truly anyone and everyone can be a creator, can be a founder.
Isn't it wonderful?
And like,
anyone can have a voice.
yes, and I think part of I bring that up now with InHerShoes because I think sometimes, at least for myself, when I've thought about success or even courage, I would think of it just being this grandiose act sometimes. Like, it has to be big and it has to be loud. But sometimes courage means raising your hand in a classroom where usually you don't answer a question. Or is it asking for a raise? Is it saying no when you usually say yes? Mm-hmm. Is it having the hard conversations at the family dinner table?
Oh my God, boundaries.
Yeah. So I think all that to say, being the founder of InHerShoes, I think it's really helped catalyze for myself how I show up in other arenas, like at Rare, for example, or as a daughter, or as an aunt, as a friend. And so, outside of that, I think my journey has really been finding the courage to use my own voice.
Yes.
And that's where creating Imaginal Goo, which is the podcast
good
I
name.
started.
I just think of like this, like almost like a Willy Wonka, what's it called? Factory.
Oh, I love that.
Like,
it's
when
so
you
playful.
think Imaginal Goo, but like just like but like with the butterfly essence.
Yes.
I don't know, that the visual.
I love it.
It's just such a cool name. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted it to be playful. And
Exactly. That's what it is. It gave me this like very playful, like almost colorfully scientific visual when I read it. Yeah.
Yes. And it's exactly that. I think historically in my life, I could be so serious, so stern with myself.
Oh,
right?
you're speaking my language
Yes.
now. We have to find our silly.
Yeah.
I try so hard.
Find the silly, lean into the play. And I think, Imaginal Goo is all around celebrating the quirks, the questions, and the courageous moments of life, especially at a point of transition. And so Imaginal Goo is really describing this natural phenomenon that happens in the world when a caterpillar literally disintegrates into this goo. And it's called imaginal cells.
Whoa.
And this caterpillar thinks and believes that its world is over. Like, okay, I'm done, did my time. I'm now this goo. But little does it know that it's actually on the brink of greatness and it's about to become a butterfly. And so I really want.
I told you she was good.
But
I like got the chills. How poetic.
It's just.
It's beautiful.
I don't know. I think we all just need to be reminded that we're all both the caterpillar and the butterfly.
Yeah.
And that it's okay to have endings and it's okay to have beginnings and it's okay to also be the goo.
Brandon knows. My line is always. I've always been saying, "From shit grows flowers." I'm like, that's a much more beautiful way to say it.
But it's so true, right?
When life feels like the most shitty, like you're in it. I swear, that's when you blossom the biggest. Amen. Afterwards. And we were talking right before we filming, I'm in that state at the moment personally. So like I think I needed to hear you explain that in such a beautiful way. So thank you, and I receive it.
Yes, I love it. I'm so glad. So glad.
So on the podcast, you have guests usually, or do you do any solo episodes? Do you think that you will?
Funny you should say. So usually I do guests, and what I'm planning to do, the first one will come out in December, is the final episode of every season. I will be the guest.
Love it.
And I'll be interviewed. And so for the final episode of season 1, my grade school elementary teacher is actually interviewing me.
Stop.
And so it's literally captured like our reunion since I graduated from her class in the 5th grade.
That makes me want to cry.
So I feel like this whole thing has been playful. You know, like I've never done a podcast before. I've never done that, but it's just like what intuitively feels good to do and aligned. So yeah, it'll be coming out in December.
Congratulations. That's so cool. What a beautiful idea. We were just talking about like me potentially doing solo episodes for the podcast. And it's kind of intimidating to figure out like how to just speak to camera. Like I've gotten used to it with beauty content, of course, but like still a little strange. I love that idea to have someone that was so important to you to come on and teachers in particular. My gosh, the amount of people that I know who had a teacher say one sentence to them that changed their life.
Completely. Yeah.
Like they are, I mean, that could be a whole podcast in itself.
Truly.
But, I cannot wait. That sounds incredible. And then the third pillar, I mean, there's many pillars to all of us, but your work at Rare Impact.
Yes. I'm so truly, again, like humbled. And I also just want to preface this by saying I'm a true believer in no good deed is done alone. So like I get to be here on this couch with you, but my hope is that I'm representing the entire village that is not only our founder, but just our community.
Yeah.
You know, like this is really our founder's greatest dream come true through the work of Rare Beauty and the Rare Impact Fund. And, you know, I'm just grateful I get to be one small puzzle piece in the whole big picture.
I look at you as a much bigger puzzle piece, but yes,
you.
I hear you.
I appreciate that. You're part of the puzzle, right? Everyone in this room
I think I
is.
said it in the intro, is like to even be a small piece of the work that they've been doing just means so much. And I think the community that you all have built feels that way. I think even just being engaged in content on social media with Rare Impact or Rare Beauty feels that way because that's what you've built.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will share that with the wider team.
Absolutely.
Because I know that, you know, again, everyone's holding it down. So it's been incredible being with the brand, being with the fund since, gosh, really the early days, the inception, the beginnings of it all, and being able to play a role in really championing youth mental health and transforming that conversation. And also, look, I'll be the first to admit we're not perfect. Like I think what I've always appreciated about, you know, Rare and our team is we know what we know and we know what we don't know. And we know at the end of the day, Rare Beauty is, yes, a makeup brand, but we're makeup made to feel good in without hiding what makes you unique. And we want makeup to be this catalyst for conversation and for destigmatizing mental health. And also, you know, it's never just a blush, right? It's never just a mascara, but it's contributing to mental health resources across the globe for communities and nonprofits that are on the ground doing this work every single day.
Yeah.
So
making a huge impact.
And really like we're here to be of service.
It's incredible because not only are you and the organization making an incredible impact financially for resources for those communities, which is like, that's like the front facing, you know, but behind that, there's this huge shift that you're creating within the beauty industry which is what I've been trying to really bring to the forefront of our conversations as well, which is how closely beauty is related to our mental health. Beauty standards, our perception of self, how we use makeup, how we change our appearance and the way we look. Women in particular, but beyond that, of course, too, in different ways, are so tied down. Almost like I envision it like sitting in a cage. Like when I think about growing up in this society and the way I felt as a kid, sitting in front of the mirror, trying to cover up my acne, breaking down, crying, and not going out and staying in my room with my cat because I felt too bad about myself as a teenager who, not even like a teenager, I think I was like 12, to be spending that time on that. And that is the other aspect of the huge shift that I think you're creating, which is just the presence and the intention behind how we engage with beauty.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. This is what we need. This is the shift. And I think from working behind the camera and seeing the influence that Sephora's platform had, working on our analytics and stuff and recognizing that, all of a sudden I was like, oh, we've got work to do.
Yeah.
And that was a huge part of me stepping in front of the camera. Yes. So it's just so grateful for Rare, so grateful for you and your entire team too. I mean, can we talk about like the all-star team? Katie Welch
Iconic.
and I go back because when she was at Hourglass, I was at in merchandising at Sephora. Just a tiny little baby. So she's seen me from the very beginning, and multiple people on your team. You guys really put together like an all-star group of people. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing all of that. We always need a little context. But I really would love to get into family because I feel that from you. I feel how important family is to you, whether it's blood or chosen.
Yeah.
It's your people in your space. And I would love to know a little bit about where you grew up and what kind of influenced you to be at a place now where you have the awareness and the drive and the passion for this kind of work, because that doesn't come out of nowhere.
Yes. Wise woman, wise woman. Goodness. Yeah, I think, it's so funny. I feel like I actually spent a good chunk of my life trying to run away from family. I think because, being a first generation daughter of immigrants, I grew up in a household that maybe a lot of immigrant children grew up in or continue to grow up in, which is, we're here for the quote unquote American dream, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that for me in our household was, well, you go to school, you get good grades, you get a good job, you make good money. Maybe you marry a good person and have a white picket fence and 2.5 kids and a dog. And I think that was like the algorithm for success. And kind of for me, it was like, all right, well, you have two paths. You're either going to be a doctor or a lawyer. And I think for me, I didn't have the language back then, but I was always passionate about social justice.
Okay.
And I think that for me showed up as a daughter of immigrants or as a granddaughter of immigrants, of seeing my grandparents unable to withdraw money at a bank because there was a language barrier. And because of that, they were told to get to the back of the line.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like there are these moments where you are with and for people you care about.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, you're old enough to remember, but you're too young to understand. Right? And there's all these different kind of moments that kind of intersect with, again, different terms: social justice, being a good person, humanity, a level of dignity. And I think as I grew up and as I evolved, I thought, oh, well, yeah, I'll be a lawyer because a lawyer can fight for justice. And that's what it's going to be.
Sure. I can see that angle.
Yeah, sure. And then, you start going to classes, or you become educated, or the best learning is unlearning, right, too? And then you start questioning, oh, wait a minute, is this my dream or is this someone else's?
Peeling off the layers of conditioning.
Yes. Right?
Which we spend most of our life doing.
Truly. And my friends and I always joke, it's like we're all basically walking characters of Shrek. We're all onions, right? We all got all these layers. We're all ogres.
Absolutely.
And I say that because, it wasn't until my college career where I was like, okay, I don't think I've ever made any decision for myself in my life. The school I went to was because of the scholarship I got, the people I dated, you name it. And so I truly believe to this day, 10 toes down, the first decision I ever made in my life was declining my law school acceptance.
Wow.
And and to do that
That's
badass. In the moment, I was like, I'm bad down. I was like, oh my
You're
gosh.
like, I'm terrified.
Yeah, like what did I
But
just
how
do?
incredible.
I just blew up my life. Like, am I okay? Is this okay? Freaking out. But
Yeah.
I think that's why courage has become such a tenet in my life of like doing the courageous thing. And sometimes being courageous means doing it afraid.
Yeah.
That
Well,
the
you
fear
proved
never
that
goes
to
away.
yourself. And
Yeah.
isn't that incredible? Like
I had to.
when we can do that,
Yeah.
or you get pushed into it.
Yeah. So I'm deviating from all these other directions.
No.
but,
Well,
you know,
my question was pretty wide, so
it's beautiful because it has me really think about, you ask about family and I share all of this because that all stemmed from the first unit that we all ever know
Yes.
when we grow up or learn, which is our families.
I mean, I feel like I could start every Beauty Manifest episode with just tell me about your childhood.
Right? Tell me about your trauma.
Because we know, it's
Yeah.
and so much of that is what builds us and drives us, and family is a huge part of that. But I have always kind of sensed from you how important family is. What was their response when you...
Sometimes no response is also a response.
Okay.
I say that I've learned that as well.
Yeah.
But also I'm proud to say, like, here I am 12 years later and my mom's in therapy. I confronted my dad about, certain decisions that he made in his life. We've openly talked about how our family was practically, homeless and went through bankruptcy growing up. Like all of these things. And I truly do believe that it just takes one conversation, one person, one moment of courage that can truly tilt the scales. And it can tilt the scales in a way where it can be so terrifying, but it can also lead to such a level of liberation for you and the people you love.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
And sometimes, people can only meet you as deeply as you've met yourself, right? And I think that for me was also a reckoning of, okay, there are so many things for me to unlearn. There's so many things for me to learn to forgive others and myself. But also, too, I think as I've evolved, I've reached a point where, well, the American dream for me isn't that algorithm that was fed to me when I was younger. It's healing. It's being with family. It's defining what is family and chosen family. And it's also being able to say that I live a life by design and not by default.
Yes.
And that for me is the American dream. It is choice. Yes. It's choice.
Yeah.
And so I think all of that led to deepening my relationship with family.
I was going to say, I feel like maybe what I sensed from you with the family aspect is just how big of a part that is of your journey. Yeah. As you're talking, it's funny because we were talking about this earlier today in another episode that we filmed with Aaliyah. And I said, it's so often that I end up inviting someone to the podcast or someone comes into my life who is a cycle breaker. And it sounds very clearly that you are a cycle breaker in your family for that generational trauma, like whatever you want to call it, the energy that continues through a lineage until somebody has the opportunity or gets pushed into being like, hey, no, we're going to talk about this. Yeah. I'm going to bring all these things up to the surface. Yeah. And then what does that create? That creates this space for your mom to finally go to therapy and have that in her life. And like, not to dismiss the work that she's done at all, but like you were a huge part of that.
Thank you.
And that experience and that impact that you receive from it is a huge part of, to your point, what's driven you to do what you're doing now.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, and I resonate with that deeply myself, with my family and what we've kind of broken through, and now creating space like this where it's like, oh, we're going to be direct and we're going to create space for vulnerability. And in fact, vulnerability is a superpower, and that's what's going to bring us closer and more connected and all of those wonderful things. So,
oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's just so important. I think one of the things that you said that I want to kind of double tap on is when you started to make decisions, when you started to decide versus default, What was that like for you? For me, it's very much so, because I resonate with that as well, and it's very recent for me. For me, it's intuition. It's the feeling in my body. It's being in my body.
Yeah.
And in a place of presence in order to feel what feels right or wrong, because otherwise anxiety can override, other things can override. Is that what your experience feels like when you're making decisions? Is there something that a tool that you use, or
Oh gosh.
anything that helps? Because I think it's one of those things where there's probably a lot of people listening like, I want to make decisions. I don't want to live by default, but like, where do I start?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so great. Short answer is yes, across the board. I love that you mentioned intuition.
Yeah.
I feel like,
I get very woo-woo over here.
girl,
so-
bring the woo, girl. Bring the woo.
I don't know if you know this about me,
Yes.
but I studied clairvoyance for about 2 years, and I actually read people for about 6 months. Still deciding what
I
all
love
that
you.
means to me, but yes, just so you know, we can go as far as
I
you'd
love
like.
it. I love it. Let's go there, babe. Yeah, I think, it's funny. A lot of my ancestors from the Philippines are very much still living in indigenous areas of the Philippines. And so I think from my mother's side, I deeply, when I stopped running away from my past and my family,
Sure,
I think
yeah.
became really this like threshold that unlocked so much power for me. Power in every sense, whether that showed up as like a sense of self-esteem and confidence, or power in the sense of feeling like I am someone that can be a conduit to the divine, to a greater purpose, to being able to show up in the world in the way that I choose to. So I say all of that because I think, for me, one of the first things that came to mind when you asked that question is to choose and to decide from a space of integrity. And I think, yes, intuition, which is so beyond like feelings and logic and emotions, which are all valid. It's all data that's telling you something. And I think for me, as I've gotten older, as I've continued to evolve, there is a sense of, is this aligned? Is this integrous? Is this something that not only serves my highest and future self, but also is so beyond me as an ego, for example?
Yeah.
So beyond me as an individual, but is it furthering the greater good? And I think that was something that I've had to really chip away at over the years. And I think, quite frankly, being in a place like LA, or just the world that we live in now, so many people are more concerned with being interesting rather than interested. And I think that can be such an egocentric space,
Yes.
right? And so I've learned as I've gotten older, again, like, wow, small things allow me to make what I like to call pristine choices, untainted, truly like pure from my own center. Small things and practices like I meditate every single day, being able to be with
Good
my
for
thoughts,
you.
right?
I've been in that before where I was doing it every day, and it's so good, and I haven't been in it.
It's such a game
I mean, there's so many
changer.
forms of meditation. I
Yes.
walk almost every day, and
I
like
love
that
that.
is, but to really sit and be present
Yes.
and meditate every day, and that is such a discipline, so huge to get back into your body. Breath work is also a huge one for me. That is something I do a little more consistently.
Yes.
Do you practice breath work?
I don't practice it as often and really like as deeply as meditation.
Yeah.
I think it's something that I want to explore next. I will say, in the handful of times that I've done breath work, I have had such a somatic experience. And like,
You're one of those.
I will break down crying.
Yeah.
Like I will literally
Yeah.
feel my body go through an experience in a very cathartic way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all those different things have helped me, and even just something as simple as choosing to live alone, like experiencing being independent in my own sovereignty as someone who's always been so connected to family or has always been a caretaker for other people. These little things, or just chosen lifestyles, have helped me make decisions from a space of integrity and alignment, and also that are mine.
Right.
Like these are my choices and no one else's.
Because if you're not tuning in, if you're not being present with yourself and you're not tuning in, how can you listen?
Totally.
And it's so interesting because I spent think they call it the Saturn return in astrology is usually around like your late
Let's go
20s,
into it.
early
Yeah.
30s, right? And that was me. I
Yeah.
had what I refer to as a spiritual awakening. Before I labeled it that, I thought it was a mental health crisis, maybe a little bit of both because it is all connected.
Totally.
But it happened for me around like 27, and the person I am at 33 from like when it started at 27, I don't even know who she was. And she was living so unconsciously, so out of the present. Like I look back and I feel like I was just going through the motions, like a robot almost. And something shifted in such a huge way, and I'm so present now. And trust me, I do miss the ignorant bliss.
Oh, what? Girl, yes.
Because there's
Truly.
something. So tell me about that. You sounds like you had a similar experience. Tell me about your experience. I would love to hear.
Yes. I mean, like, again, double tapping, double downing on all of that. Like, I also in the realm of like astrology, what have you, I deeply resonate with that as well. And I think I went through my own experience. But yeah, I think for me, my awakening and kind of like my deep dive into the spiritual realm and just faith overall. I grew up in a traditional Filipino household, which meant a lot of us were Roman Catholic growing up. And so I think holding those two truths together for me really helped mold me into the woman I am. But it took, quite honestly, a really toxic relationship and a breakup that I think cracked me so open and had me confront so many shadows and truths and untruths, I think, about myself, that it really served to be the ultimate mirror.
I was literally going to say, it's just such a mirror.
Like, truly such a mirror. And, you know, I have nothing but true, like, love and appreciation and gratitude for every loved one and person that I got to welcome into my life as a romantic partner, because it's also played such a huge and pivotal role in who I am today. But that actually was a huge catalyst for opening me up to so many different things. And again, the unlearning of a lot of stuff too. And is this really mine, or is this something that I've inherited that, you know, I now have the opportunity to break a cycle for?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's so often that it's something just horrible that happens that breaks you open into yourself.
Oh gosh.
And it seems like with each time that it happens, we become, you hope, if you're paying attention and you're doing your best, I think you hope that each time that it happens, it's a little bit easier, because it doesn't hurt any less necessarily, but you have more trust in the growth that's going to happen.
Oh.
And that's reassuring, but doesn't make it. I'm sitting here like
thinking about it all.
I feel like such a hypocrite because I'm going through so much right now, so many changes and like uncertainty and stuff, and I've just been like so emotional, and I'm like sitting here like I can tell myself that I know it's gonna be great, but then I'm like
truly
holding on for dear life.
You're in it. But, you know, I think when I think about, again, anything from our family going through bankruptcy, not knowing where home was going to be, let alone do we have a bed to sleep on, like relationships that just tore me down and broke me open, law school, like all of these things, I've really come to believe that rock bottom is a firm foundation to build anything on.
Oh my gosh.
And whatever
it's like
whatever
the 8th
direction,
time I've had chills this episode. So.
Like, you know, and like I see a mirror in you, right? Like this is all that this is just, we're just mirrors, walking mirrors for each other.
There's a reason why I'm attracted to your energy. There's a reason why you were willing to do that. You know, like I think we find each other in this world, and thank God we do, because it's so needed.
Truly.
The connection is so needed, and to hear other people going through it. It must have been a lot to recognize your family's struggles as a child, because it sounds like even though it wasn't spoken of, you were very much so aware of it.
Yeah.
Carrying that kind of weight and responsibility makes you grow up really fast.
It does.
I know like a lot of the seriousness, I think, tends to come from that. And like trying to find the silly tends to be something that's a challenge for people who have that kind of scenario where you grow up and you don't get to just be, carefree because you're thinking about all those things. Did your parents know that you knew?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like
They were doing their best to hide it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
protect you.
I think part of it too is like, as I get older and reflect back a lot on times in the past, there's been so much more compassion and again, just forgiveness of like, they were growing up too.
Oh my gosh, of course, yeah.
My mom didn't know. It was her first time also being 40.
Yeah.
She's never been 40 before. My dad's never been 40. Like,
we're all doing this for the first time.
We're all doing it for the first time. We're all growing up. And I just, succinctly remember and vividly remember there, like the moment when you realize your parents aren't superhuman.
Yeah.
That they do bleed.
Yeah.
They make mistakes.
Yeah.
They're faulted just like everyone else. And that's a bit of a shattered ideal.
When did that happen for you? At what age? Do you remember?
I think I was like 10.
Jeez.
I think I was like 10.
Yeah.
And
that's early.
I appreciate you sharing what you shared around, like this, where the seriousness comes from, because I think hearing you say that, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, it was a privilege to play. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you go to school and there's like the playground and it's recess. So yeah, you play, but like as a like in your life or just
at home.
Or just at home.
After school.
Like, yeah, like I'm sure, you would kind of do things that wasn't homework,
yeah.
but like that childlike wonder isn't with you anymore, right? That sense of innocence maybe. Mm-hmm. And so there's always, I think I grew up always kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Sure.
And it's very anxiety inducing.
Yeah, and feeling like you need to fix it or it's not funny. I need to stop saying it's funny, but it's interesting because I think that a lot of the most successful people in life have a story like this because you were forced at a young age to handle so much and fix so much. And so, of course, when you are put into a work setting, you're going to do the job all the way. You're not going to half-ass anything. You're not a half-asser, It's like it's interesting how certain things in our childhood will really drive us into success, but will also be such a detriment to us. Yes. And how you can hold both of those things at the same time and like honor it, but then also want to like peel it off.
Yes, absolutely. Like you said earlier, boundaries. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Like what do I choose to bring into this experience and what can I leave behind?
It's tough too because I don't even know. You don't have kids, right?
I don't.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Not yet.
I
didn't
think
see if it's
so.
in the cards.
Yeah, I don't have kids, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, I don't know how you do that. Like, when you have a child and your family is going through something like that, the child is gonna be aware. Children, like babies and children, are so much more intuitive than we are because they haven't been fully conditioned in our society. Yes. So I think they're so much more in tune. Like I think it's so important for us to listen to children.
Absolutely.
Like my nephews, he'll be out there like in the bushes, little hippie nephew. I love him so much. And he'll be like saying random things, or he'll be like, oh, I'm just like talking to grandma, like my mom who's passed and things like that. And I'm like, tell me about it. Like, what does she say? It's just so interesting to hear them. And even if it's imagination, whatever you believe in, it's just, I think we should listen to children. But I guess my question is, and it's kind of rhetorical because I don't think anyone has the answer, but it's like, how do you navigate that with kids? Like if your family's having struggles, how do you protect them from losing that innocence? Because they're gonna recognize that, or they're gonna know. Yeah. I guess you kind of just have to be honest and vulnerable with them, and the more vulnerable you are, you can just reassure them simultaneously.
Truly.
I don't know.
I think so too. And hearing you talk about your adorable hippie nephew in the bushes makes me think about my two nephews themselves, Max and Miles. They're 3 and 5, and already I can see the dynamic between the role of an elder sibling and the youngest sibling, but also the dynamic of having 2 boys, the dynamic of one being a Sagittarius, the other being a Cancer, if we're talking about astrology, but also the dynamic of, oh my gosh, like you're not from my own physical body, but you're of my blood, and that desire to want to protect you from the world.
Yeah.
But how unrealistic that is, right? Like we can't bubble wrap them and kind of send them off. And so hearing you speak about, you know, what is it like? How can we kind of hold space for our young people? I always think back to, what do I wish I had when I was younger? And I wish someone was just there to hold my hand while I cried, you know? And sometimes it's as simple as that, just reminding someone that I'm just here with you. And and it's okay if we both don't understand what's happening.
And I feel like the more we can lean into vulnerability, which encompasses all of that, like the better. With everything in life, it's like,
truly,
it literally is like the grounding pillar to everything. Goes back to like, if you're in a fight with someone, lean into vulnerability. They won't become as defensive. And it's like, there's a book called like Nonviolent Communication that I've read, and it's all about that. It's like the I statements, and it's talking about how you're vulnerable, and it's how you feel. Just explaining something to a child, but then being like, how does that make you feel? And holding space for that. Another theme that's been coming up lately, but I just think so many of us who are in and around this generation didn't have a place to set down our feelings growing up. And I think we're the ones learning that right now. Yeah. So I asked that, just knowing, you know, you're with your nephews and how you grew up. It must be something that, whether it's conscious or subconscious, you're thinking about a lot with your relationship with them, and your relationship to your sister, brother, whoever their parents are, how they relate to you. Like, it's really powerful. I look at my siblings and I'm just like, we're doing it differently. Yeah. Thank goodness.
Truly.
Thank goodness.
Truly. And your courage for doing that, for being the cycle breaker, right?
Yeah.
As you say.
Yeah. It's not easy.
It can be lonely, right?
It can be very lonely.
I don't think people talk about that, whether it's success or choosing to break cycles, or heck, change is lonely.
Yep.
It's lonely.
It does, because, and especially when you go through that like Saturn return, that like awakening, wherever that happens in your life, because I think it happens for everyone in some way, it can be really isolating, because I think especially the first time it feels like you're the only one. Yeah. And this is happening to you. Yeah. And then as you go through it and you start to prove to yourself, and things happen again, and you become more conscious and aware and present with it, it's okay, this isn't happening to me, this is happening for me. Yes. But again, I sit here and I say these words, and I'm like, I just want to recognize that I do not always feel that way.
Right? Truly.
Let's
and that's
be
the truth
real.
of it. Yeah.
Yes. Like I need to say these words to myself often. And lately I have been in this, and I'm sure you probably resonate with this. Lately I've been in this space where I'm really trying to let go of control and just trust. And not spin my wheels, and not overdo or overthink. And I'm leaning into that, but simultaneously there is this energy where I'm just like, but why? Yeah. Like, why do we have to? I get so caught up in this ethereal concept of like, what are we doing here? And then you have to just accept that, like, we might never know. We probably won't ever know.
Yeah, truly. A mountain with no top.
Yeah, it's very... The human experience is so brutal.
Let's talk about it.
Brutal. And I mean, gosh, I sometimes I feel like such an idiot saying that. Not an idiot, but I feel so silly saying that, because, you know, I have a lot of privilege and I have a really blessed life. Of course, everything's relative to yourself, and mental health is relative. But yeah, this life experience, this earth, this lived experience it's brutal.
Yeah. Gosh, I appreciate you saying that, because I say to my team a lot, you know, in my hopes to be honest and open, and also just being vulnerable as a gateway for team morale, you know, of just like, it's really hard to live in this world and be someone who cares.
Yes.
Because
that's what I'm saying.
You're
that
paying
ignorant
attention,
bliss is wonderful.
Like, right? Like, because if you're really paying attention, and if you're someone who cares, your heart breaks every single moment of the day.
I struggle to like walk past someone on the street that I can tell doesn't have a home or is mentally unwell, and just walking by and living in a city like LA or any city, you experience that often. And I didn't really recognize it in myself until the last few years. And I was like, this is impacting me. And noticing how it's not impacting some other people.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people in this world can just like.
Yeah, totally. I love that you say that, because it reminds me of even just what we talked about earlier in the conversation of kind of the origin stories of how I even got into like social impact.
Yeah.
Because I think, to me, as a self-proclaimed impact nerd and like nonprofit girly to the day I die, it's I think social impact is so intersectional. And it doesn't have to be a formal title or a particular career necessarily. It could just be simply walking by a human on the street.
Yes.
And recognizing there's a pang that I'm feeling. And what is that? Like being curious. And I think social impact and social innovation and social change really has the ultimate call to action for people of choose your lane. Because social impact could also be around having compassion for this stranger and acting on that compassion just as much as it can manifest itself into corporate social responsibility for everyone.
Yes.
So I love that you mentioned that, because I think it's such a great example of how just caring today is such a force in and of itself.
It makes me, I love that you said that, because we're like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Because I love that you said that, because I've been thinking about this concept lately with all of the headlines, with everything that's happening in our country and how scary and dark. I think about what I can do. How can I make an impact? I think one of the biggest ways that anyone can make an impact is through their art, whatever that art is.
Yes.
But when I lean into that, I double tap on that. I'm like, okay, what is it about the art, whether it's me doing this podcast, because this is my passion project, my art, or if it's painting or doing makeup or whatever. What is it about that art that then helps the greater good or the country? Because logically or scientifically or factually, it's kind of hard to put your finger on it. But when you double tap on it and you think about how you're transmuting this negativity and this darkness that exists through your art, and you're processing it and cleaning it out like a washer machine, and then the energy that you have to put out into the universe is that much more beautiful. Not to mention your art itself, for example, this podcast and being able to have this conversation for other people to listen to. But it can be so simple as, like you said, walking down the street and smiling at someone, and that is social impact, and that is creating a change. And I think we underestimate that a lot. And I think it's actually something that on some level I noticed from living in Nashville part-time, the South does a little bit better.
Yes.
Because when I'm at my home in Nashville, I'll go through my neighborhood and everyone waves to each other. Everyone says hi. And I know that there's other layers to culture and things that are going on, so it might not always, but on a surface level, that feels good. Yeah. And when I came back to LA the first few times after being in Nashville, I was like walking around my neighborhood and I smile at people. They like look at me like I'm a serial killer. And I'm just like,
this isn't Nashville
I
anymore.
am remaining persistent. I will not smile at you. And it started to break through now, where like it's really truly making me feel better too. And people are responding, and I'm noticing the more I put out of it, the more I'm receiving of it. And I don't know. So it's all kind of like a little woo, a little energy, but that is, you said it so beautifully. That is social impact.
It is. And I feel like sometimes, especially in the world that we live in, things can feel, even in like the cancel culture, right? Like just, which is such a big, heavy topic, but I'm naming it because it can be scary to be curious today. And it can be scary to want to smile and wave, and it can be scary to engage in things where you are the beginner and where you don't know, because that also takes vulnerability. Are you being courageous enough to be a beginner again and begin with beginner's mind, or just, again, setting the ego aside and being willing to learn and receive. And I just share that because in what you're what you're speaking to. I think it's so beautiful, and it reminds and it affirms me personally of, I'm so clear that part of my personal mission in this lifetime is to make social impact accessible. And that means, how are we defining it as a society? How can we embed it into brands and founders that are genuinely so invested in doing good in the world, but also in everyday conversations on couches with chosen family and family, so that everyone recognizes, oh, social impact isn't this just like buzzword that no one really knows, but it's actually just choosing to show up in a way that makes a positive difference.
Yeah. And it's not political.
It doesn't have to be political. You know, it's just about the shared human experience.
Yeah.
And the truth of what it is to be human.
Absolutely. Oh man, I'm going to need your advice, not if, but when the Beauty Manifest just completely takes off. So much of my vision for it is turning it into some sort of social impact. My sister Renee has worked in nonprofits her whole life too. And so she's been such a huge part of my life. And whenever we talk about the podcast, that's definitely where we want to go. So one day I'll knock on your door and I'll say, Judith, tell me what to do.
And I'm going to be like, I'm here, girl. Let's do it.
You're like, I can do that in my sleep.
No, I have so much passion, and what brings me alive is, you know, really amplifying and being a catalyst for people to have their dreams come true. Like, I am so passionate about that. And so I would be honored, truly. I
appreciate you.
Same.
We'll see what happens. I'm like keeping away from the future tripping these days, even the positive future tripping. Yeah. I'm like, I'm here today in this moment, and that is good.
That's all that matters.
And that is good. Thank you so much for coming here today, for sharing yourself, for being so vulnerable, for the work that you do. This just feels so full circle, and I'm so grateful to have you.
Likewise.
And I cannot wait to hear more of your podcast and to follow your movement, and of course Rare Impact and everything that you all do. I tell Katie all the time, I'm like, if there's ever anything that I can do to help support you all or whatever, please reach out, because purpose and goals aligned.
Truly. And thank you. I mean, like, beyond a fan, I think who you are and just what you represent, and just thank you for being a guardian for possibility and just a champion for change, because it's needed.
The words.
It's so needed. It's so needed. And thank you for your community for like tuning in. Like, I don't take it for granted. So thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, well, now I don't know if you know, but every episode starts with a little question. So we'll take you over and film on the other side.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, that was just a ridiculously feel-good episode. And this is what I'm talking about when, like, I am doing this podcast. I mean, passion project, like we said, is like, you know, it's such a commonly used term, but like, I'm doing this as a passion project because it feeds my soul. And like, this episode is exactly an example of that, where it's just such a feel-good conversation. And I'm leaving today after filming 2 episodes with 2 people that are inspiring and I admire so much, feeling better about myself and feeling more connected. And it just goes to show that that's what it's all about, our ability to connect with each other. And when times get tough and things get real and headlines are dark, the more we can connect and be vulnerable, the more we can heal. And yet it's so easy to go the other way and, you know, point fingers. And I don't know, I'm not trying to get political, but it's all connected. And the way that Judith and I were talking about, you know, transmuting energy and the darkness that exists out in this world, and transmuting that energy that you might be taking in through the craft of your art, and then putting back out clean, positive energy through walking down the street and smiling at your neighbor. It's just, I don't know what the point of this life is. I really don't. And I don't think we're ever going to find out, which is just entirely frustrating and makes me so angry, but that's for another day. But I do know that there are certain things that make going through this world so much more beautiful, and connection is one of them. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. Oh, hi, Gigi. You're going to make an appearance? Do you want to come up? Gato's been here all day. Yeah? But Judith is just, she's such a giver, and you can see that with her career. You can see that with the way that she shares her family experience, and you can see that just with the way that she shares her energy with me sitting here, and the work that she's doing in every pillar of her life is just so beautiful. And I was so eager to have her on, because from the very first time I met her, I was like, this woman's energy is just like top notch, you know? And those are the type of people I want to bring here. And that's why I have beautiful people like Brandon behind the camera to keep that energy feeling so good. Yeah, tomorrow we're getting you a mic. We're adding Brandon to the conversation, at least for the little like comments that they make, because I try and repeat them sometimes, but Brandon will occasionally like say like a one word thing over there, and we're just like, it's so good.
Tomorrow we'll get a mic and some lotion.
Some mic and a lotion. Oh, for my scaly arms. Dude, thank you so much for joining me as usual, listening to me ramble, listening to me consider what the point of life is, but also listening to the beautiful people that I have on, because they have so much to offer us, I think. And the things you say at the end of the podcast: subscribe, like, comment, please give me some love. This is a passion project, but man, would I love for it to be something that could become something more, if that's what's meant to be. So all of your love helps with that, and I just appreciate you listening. So I will see you next time.